Please be seated.
I believe it's not Mrs. Holness as announced, but another very special guest. Oliver?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Norma Walters, Custos of St. Anne, representing the Governor General.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Please remain standing as we now invite Dr. the Honorable Bishop Harold Blair to say prayers.
Good morning. May we bow our heads and hearts in prayer. God of all blessings, source of our life, giver of all grace, we are thankful for the gift that thou hast given unto us in life. We are thankful for the breath that sustains life. We thank you today for the mystery of creation. And we are thankful that thou hast created a beautiful country called Jamaica. We pray that thou wouldst accept our prayers today. And we thank you for allowing us to be gathered here this morning to celebrate in this noteworthy occasion. We give you thanks for all those who have made meaningful contributions from the conceptualization to the completion of this highway. We ask, O Almighty God, that this will be a safe highway. May all who drive hereon be thankful for the ease and comfort affordable to us as we traverse this highway. Help us, Lord, not to abuse the privilege with speed that will cause the loss of life and limb. Today, O God, we pray for Edward Seaga and his family. Thank you that you have chosen him for such a time as this. Thank you for grace and for the strength that you have given to him. Thank you for blessing him every step of the way. Thank you for making him the visionary he has been and for the contribution that he has given to our nation. So today we ask, O Almighty God, that as this highway is renamed in his honor, that you will also continue to bless him with longevity. May goodness and mercy follow him all the days of his life. We now commit this function into your hands. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, we pray. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated.
And thank you, Bishop Blair. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And welcome to the ceremony for the renaming of the North-South Highway, which will now become the Edward Seaga Highway. After satisfying all prerequisites, including wide consultations, Cabinet, by way of its decision number 1018, dated the 19th day of March 2018, gave instructions for the renaming of the highway in honor of the former Prime Minister of Jamaica. This recognition serves to acknowledge his visionary role in institutional building in Jamaica and his significant contribution to the economic, cultural, and social development of Jamaica. We now invite Mr. Philip Henriquez, Chairman of the National Road Operating and Construction Company, to give the official welcome.
Master of Ceremonies, Ms. Paula Ann Porter and Mr. Oliver Watt, the Honorable Norma Walters Costas, Rotularium of St. Anne, representing the Governor General, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen and Mr. Walters, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Holness, our Honoree, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, former Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Seaga, members of the Cabinet, Ministers of State, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Senate and members of the House of Parliament, permanent secretaries, Major General Anthony Anderson, Commissioner of Police, mayors and other members of the municipal corporations, custodies, Bishop and Honorable Dr. Harold Blair, Vice President, Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches, Mr. Lou Quinn, Executive Deputy General Manager, Jamaica North-South Highway, Mr. Hugh Faulkner, Chairman, Toll Authority, heads of government, agencies and departments, members of the private sector, other distinguished guests, members of the media, performers, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. First, let me extend a warm welcome to everyone attending this ceremony. We are delighted to have you here to share in this ceremony to rename the North-South Highway in honor of the Most Honorable Edward Seaga. NROC's role is to contribute to the long-term development of our nation, to make the projects which seem impossible possible, and to make long-dreamt-out projects a reality. Mr. Seaga's active role in Jamaica's development started just after independence, when in 1962 he was appointed as the Minister of Development and Welfare, where he spearheaded the creation of the country's first 5-year development plan. During the 60s, as a result of his leadership, the country also set about the development of the Kingston and Ocherias waterfronts and commenced the studies of what was then called the cross-country highway, the North-South Highway. Today we celebrate the vision of Mr. Seaga and his role in seeing the benefits which can be derived from the development of large infrastructural projects. Over the years, because of the natural topography of Jamaica and because ships were the early forms of transportation, all our major towns have developed either along the north or the south coast of Jamaica. This natural topography also hindered the safe and efficient movement of people, goods, and services. The North-South Highway has created a new option for users, an efficient, safe, and reliable link from the north to the south coast of Jamaica. Since the opening of this North-South Highway in 2014, more than 9 million trips have benefited from the roadway, which bypasses the potential hazards of the Bogwalk Gorge and delays experience traveling through Mount Rosser and Fern Gully. With the highway, our country has already begun to change. Previously, it would have been unlikely for over 4 million visitors, most of whom are on the north coast, to visit the south coast. For cruise ship passengers, this would be almost an impossibility. Today, this is now possible. Patronizing attractions such as Culture Yard in Trenchtown for reggae party, Port Royal, Rockford Healing Waters, Devon House, and various craft markets and souvenir shops, which are all now within easy reach. This impact is not only about persons living in the rural areas, and working in Kingston, but this also opens up opportunities for persons living in Kingston to be able to work in rural areas. Teachers going from home in Kingston to schools in Ocho Rios, nurses going to work in hospitals in Linstead, students going to school at Monique College. So today we are seeing the signs of this change taking place in our country. A typical user traveling from Ocho Rios to Caymanas will save 45 minutes on the journey. Currently, we estimate that the travel time savings for road users is working out at more than 8,000 man-hours a day. This is equivalent to another 1,000 persons working in the workforce. In 2014, before the highway opened, there were approximately 6,100 vehicles using the Mount Rosso Road. Since the opening, total traffic on the toll road and the old road has grown by more than 48% over the 3-year period. In the last year alone, 2016 and 2017, total traffic has grown by more than 21% per annum. What this shows is that more people are traveling and trade and commerce is improving. Persons who would not have traveled from the north coast to the south coast are traveling. Persons who used to make one trip are now making 2 and 3. One of our larger customers, the Knutsford Express, has increased the number of trips on the highway by more than 60% since the opening. We believe, as Mr. Seaga did, our highway, along with development of the Kingston Ocho Rios waterfronts, would change the face of Jamaica for generations to come. It would change where people live, where they work, and where they vacation. Thank you, Mr. Seaga, for this vision. We will forever be changed. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Henriquez. Thank you, Mr. Watt. And now, Mr. Liu Chin, representing the North-South Highway, will bring greetings.
The Most Honorable Edward Seaga, former Prime Minister of Jamaica. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. His Excellency Mr. Tian Chi, Ambassador of People's Republic of China. Ms. Paula N. Porter-Jones and Mr. Oliver Ward, Masters of Ceremony. Honorable Olivia Grage, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. Ministers of Government, Mr. Hugh Faulkner, Chairman of Toll Authority. Mr. Philip Henriques, Chairman of National Road Operating and Constructing Company. Bishop, the Honorable Dr. Hero Blair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my honor to stand here with you today, not merely to rename a highway, but to pay tribute to a Jamaican icon, the Most Honorable Edward Philip George Seaga. Mr. Seaga has indeed contributed greatly to the development of Jamaican society and must be acknowledged for his outstanding achievement as a scholar and former Prime Minister of this diverse nation. Certainly, he planted a tree and we are enjoying the shade, as today we are still benefiting from what he started as devoted leader many years ago. Like many companies on this island, a number of our employees have been trained by the Heart Trust, which he created in 1983. With the intention to positively shape and change the lives of many Jamaican youngsters. Moreover, we engage this service of other similar institutions to train our present staff on how to deliver the highest quality of customer service. As history reviews, the honoree has also dedicated his life to nation building and is about modernization and transformation. So in supporting the decision of Jamaican government to rename the highway in his honor, I reflect on the similarities between the symbolist of our company and what she stands for. As guided by our parent company, China Communication Construction Company, we pride ourselves in having common values and actions as that of the honoree. We are devoted to the Jamaican government procurement policy by being a qualified supplier, remain deeply involved in local and regional economic development, and dedicate in sharing social responsibilities as a corporate citizen by contributing to our surrounding community. Like the honoree, it is important that Jamaica North South Highway Company remain committed to ensure the advancement of Jamaican economy by facilitating a smooth communication, continuously improving the service standard and the way we serve the Jamaican people. It is also pertinent to note, we recognize it is the people who are responsible for the sustenance of this partnership and the operation of the highway. Our company salutes and supports the Jamaican government in this bold move to pay homage to the Most Honorable Edward Seaga. We are honored to inherit his name, and we hope to uphold his spirit in fulfilling our social responsibility to the nation so that in the coming years, this monument will be cherished and used by the citizens of the great country. May God continue to bless and guide the Edward Seaga Highway, and may his hand continue to direct the prosperity of the country, and we look forward to building a bright future together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chin. And now, Mr. Hugh Faulkner, Chairman of the Toll Authority, will give remarks. Welcome, Mr. Faulkner, please.
Masters of Ceremony, Mrs. Paula Ann Porter-Jones and Mr. Oliver Watt, Her Worship, the Custos for St. Anne, Mrs. Norma Walters, representing His Excellency, the Governor General, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Holness. Our honoree, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, former Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Seaga. Members of the Cabinet, Ministers of State, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Senate, and members of the House of Representatives, permanent secretaries, mayors, and other members of the municipal corporations, custodies, justices of the peace, Bishop the Honorable Dr. Harold Blair, Vice President of the Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches, Mr. Philip Henriquez, Chairman of NROC, Mr. Lou Kin, Executive Deputy General Manager, Jamaica North-South Highway, board and staff of the Toll Authority, heads of government agencies and departments, members of the private sector, other distinguished guests, members of the media, performers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Jamaica continues to make phenomenal strides in advancing infrastructural and national development to improve the social and economic lives of its citizenry and the competitiveness of our country, both regionally and in the global marketplace. An integral part of that drive and thrust is how we pave the way in expanding and modernizing our road network for transportation and movement of people, goods, and services in a most timely, efficient, and safe manner. We have seen the meaningful benefits throughout the island, and today marks a significant acknowledgement of all the stakeholders who have helped to make the highway carry us one step closer to a fully integrated road network linkage. The North-South Highway, as it then was, provides lanes of immeasurable economic value across all sectors in Jamaica. The Toll Authority is charged with and mandated to have statutory responsibility for monitoring and regulating the day-to-day operations and the proper maintenance of these toll roads. However, it would be remiss of me not to highlight the fundamental and pivotal role of our investment partnership players, without whom we would have been hard-pressed to actualize this highway. What we have laid out before us today, ladies and gentlemen, is a tripartite international effort from the French, the Chinese, and of course, Jamaican developers and stakeholders. And I offer profound, heartfelt appreciation to all for making yet another national vision become reality. Most importantly, today we acknowledge the stewardship, leadership, vision, and oversight of our past and present prime ministers who have individually and collectively dedicated themselves to ensuring Jamaica's successes in the pursuit and attainment of a better quality of life for all Jamaicans, including the commuting experience of every Jamaican citizen and visitors to our shore. Special mention must be made of former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Edward Philip George Seaga, upon whom we bestow the honor and dedicate today's renaming of the North-South Highway. He has been and continues to be, you would have read his articles, a leading pioneer, visionary, and advocate for the local, regional, and international recognition of Jamaica at the highest level. I am satisfied that all stakeholders, investors, and citizenry share wholeheartedly in this most fitting tribute to you, sir. On behalf of the Toll Authority, let me state that we remain resolute in our quest to assure and assist Jamaica in realizing our goal for Vision 2030, playing our part in making this beloved country the place to live, work, raise families, and retire, while enjoying the benefits of our beautifully designed highways along the most scenic routes anywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and God's blessings.
Thank you so much, Mr. Faulkner. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our honored guest knows a thing or two about the performance group, which will now entertain us. Like the Tivoli Marching Band, which formed the Guard of Honor on his arrival, the Tivoli Dance Troupe is one of the more venerable institutions which came out of the West Kingston Cultural Development Program, the brainchild of our honored guest, the Most Honorable Edward Philip George Seaga. Several well-known Jamaican personalities passed through this well-traversed cultural journey, including two current ministers of government, the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange and the Honorable Desmond Mackenzie. The Tivoli Dance Troupe flowed naturally out of this cultural renaissance in the 1970s, with persons like choreographers Vincent Douglas and Jennifer Morgan Garwood taking Mr. Seaga's vision to another level. Guided by what they call the 3 Ds: discipline, dedication, and determination. The troupe sees itself staying true to its mission of being one of the unifying forces in the community as it approaches its 50th anniversary in 2020. Please help me make them feel welcome, the Tivoli Dance Troupe.
Jesus bigger than what people say. Unfathomable. I hear them talking. They don't have a clue. Them running up your mouth. But you're bigger than what people say. Glory to your name, God. Hallelujah. Magnificent God. Just mega magnificent. Dragon big God. Just mega ginormous. Magnanimous. Mega magnificent. You magnanimous. Jesus bigger than what people say. Jesus bigger than what people say. I hear them talking. Hear them running out their mouth. But you're bigger than what people say. Don't have a Jesus bigger than what people say.
Now we see why they're regarded as one of the best. One more time, please, for the Tivoli Dance Troupe. And kudos as well to the stage construction team. And I know that the next speaker, who has recently arrived in Jamaica, will very quickly become acquainted with our culture, as we, out of many one people, are familiar with aspects of his culture, such as the lion dance. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome His Excellency Tian Chi, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Jamaica.
So first of all, I would like to say I'm really very honored to speak just after the wonderful dance. So Masters of Ceremonies, Mrs. Paula Ann Porter, and Mr. Oliver Ward. The Honorable Norma Waters, Cartos, representing the Governor General, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen and Mr. Waters. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Holness. The Most Honorable Edward Seaga, former Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Seaga. Members of the Cabinet, Minister of State, members of diplomatic corps, members of the Senate, and members of the House of Parliament, permanent secretaries. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's my great honor to be here witnessing the historical moment for Edward Seaga Highway and friendly cooperation between our two countries. I would like to express my highest respect, sincere appreciation to the Most Honorable Edward Seaga and all the Jamaican people devoted to Jamaica national development and China-Jamaica friendship. To get rich, build road first. To speed up the traffic construction is the objective needs of economic development. This is not only a highway for traffic, but also a highway to the happiness, success, and prosperity for Jamaica. It cements a stronger bond between the two peoples of China and Jamaica. Edward Seaga Highway is a paradigm of successful practical cooperation between China and Jamaica, and it's also the crystallization of China's capital, technology, and Jamaica's incentive for FDI. 40 years experience of China's reform and opening up has been telling us the more favorable policies, the more FDI, the higher economic growth. I'm looking forward to more such projects benefiting all Jamaican people. As the leading player of the bilateral investment cooperation and a leading member of the Association of Chinese Enterprises in Jamaica, China Harbour, together with other 15 major Chinese enterprises, has been doing a good job in boosting local economy, creating nearly 10,000 job opportunities. Confucius advocated that people should keep good intentions towards others and never do to others what they don't want done to themselves. Mencius said, it's much more joyful to share the joy than enjoy alone. It is the obligation of all Chinese enterprises to operate under the law and regulation, benefit the local people as well as themselves in an integrated, supportive, and equal environment-friendly manner. Though China and Jamaica are 14,000 kilometers far away, our interests and future are interconnected. We enjoy the dual partnership of Belt and Road Initiative and production capacity cooperation in accordance with principle of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Our partnership has achieved early harvests such as Edward Seaga Highway and the Jisco IPAT aluminum plant. When we look down from the peak of Blue Mountain, the whole island comes into view. At a crucial period of the development of Jamaica economy and our friendly cooperation for mutual benefit, it's necessary to aim high and look far. Yesterday, we joined hands to turn mountains into highway. Today, we are in a new starting point for larger scale of cooperation. Tomorrow, we will reap a bumper harvest. 56 years ago, Jamaican people were very proud of what you have accomplished as a nation. You will be more proud of what you have accomplished as a great nation. Let's get together with one love, one heart, and one hope to cook and share cornmeal porridge. To advance our closer partnership and greater cooperation into a new era. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ambassador Tien. Yes, it is better to share the joy than to have joy alone. Coming up next is a lady to bring remarks who's widely regarded as a protege of our honored guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Olivia Grange, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport.
The Honorable Norma Walters, Cotus Rotularium of St. Anne, representing the Governor General, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Holness, our honoree, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, former Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Seaga, and members of the family, members of the Cabinet, Ministers of State, Ambassador Tianchi, and other members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Senate and members of the House of Parliament, permanent secretaries, mayors and other members of the municipal corporations, Bishop, the Honorable Hera Blair, Vice President, Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches, Mr. Philip Enriquez, Chairman, National Road Operating and Construction Company Limited, Mr. Hugh Faulkner, Chairman Toll Authority, heads of government agencies and department, members of the private sector, other distinguished guests. This morning, I am overwhelmed. I feel overly excited because here we are with history in the making once again. I'm delighted to be a part of the dedication of this highway to Edward Philip George Seaga, Mr. Eddie, as we call him. Ladies and gentlemen, where we're standing is a site of historic interest on this historic occasion. Just over 220 years ago, a slave owner named Robert Barclay, who reared cattle here at Unity Valley Pen, freed all 30 of his slaves and sent them to Philadelphia in the United States and ensured that they all were educated. The youngest of them was an 8-year-old boy named Little October. In 2016, as Minister of Culture, working closely with a number of individuals, we were able to bring together with great ceremony the great, 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 great grandsons of Little October and Mr. Barclay right here at Unity Valley. It was through the research work of Professor Vereen Shepherd and the Jamaica National Heritage Trust through its chairman, Lolita Davis Mattis. Little October and Little October descendants and Mr. Barclay's descendants were able to share their history filled with emotion. They embraced and they cried. And all of us felt the emotion. They were both presented with old maps of Unity Valley. The remnants of the Great House and slave quarters were destroyed in the construction of the highway. But we were able to find the remnants of some structures, such as an old storehouse. Little October's descendants and Mr. Barclay's descendants, the families have both committed themselves to help us to continue our work in our heritage program. This highway has given us the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to explore Unity Valley in ways we never did before. And I wanted to share that story so that when you travel on the Edward Seaga Highway, you will know that Unity Valley is a place of special significance. Mr. Seaga has in many ways taught us how to value and appreciate our history and culture. He brought significance to much of what we would have taken for granted. And so our sense of inquiry into our past is what is helping us to better understand who we are today. His work with the dispossessed in the forgotten corners of Jamaica, when he did his research in Buxton Town, and when he slept 6 across a bed at Salt Lane in West Kingston, was the driving force behind the everlasting burning desire to see in his lifetime a Jamaica where opportunity is open to all and Jamaicans can realize their dreams here at home. This linkage between Kingston and the North Coast was a vision that Mr. Seaga had for the building out of a connected society where trade, culture, tourism, logistics could meet. But for all his contributions to national development, I must pay special tribute to his work in moving Jamaican culture from the back rooms of our creative spaces to center stage. And it manifested itself here this morning. When we speak of Brand Jamaica, the concept evolved from the vision of Edward Seaga, who saw that the rich talent that was submerged in West Kingston and other communities in Jamaica could be taken to the world stage. He was bold and ambitious in showcasing Jamaican music to the world for the first time at the World's Fair in New York in the 1960s. He was passionate about our art forms that were of African retention and ensured that they were incorporated in a post-colonial society. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to have been one of Edward Seaga's protégés. And there are many here today. And I'm sure that Minister Desmond Mackenzie would have wanted to be up here and should have been up here with me to speak to his experience as a young man who was brought up by Edward Seaga. So this means a lot to me and Minister Mackenzie and the people of West Kingston who are here today. For decades, we have had the privilege of being close to the germination of many of the ideas that have shaped Jamaica into what it is today. Being around and working closely with Mr. Seaga helped me personally and many of us to appreciate the intricate process that is nation building. Hearing ideas spring from his mind and seeing them manifested into institutions and infrastructure that continue to enhance the lives of our people throughout Jamaica. His list of initiatives and achievements is long and exhaustive. Indeed, enviable. Time does not permit today, but if you avail yourselves of the number of programs and projects he has introduced, you will simply be amazed. But there are some that must be mentioned. The Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, the Heart Trust, the repatriation of Marcus Garvey's body and bestowing on him the honor of National Hero, the Media Divestment Program to establish several private radio stations and religious television in Love FM and reggae radio in Irie FM. Mr. Seaga is the only living member of the group who crafted the Jamaican Constitution and the only surviving member of the 1962 Parliament when we gained independence. We must honor him. There is a saying, don't send me flowers when I'm gone. Mr. Seaga, we're so happy that we can honor you today while you're with us. So today, I share in honoring my mentor. I'm reflecting on a man who has withstood the test of time and who has, like this highway we are naming after him, been the product of great odds, of mental engineering feats, of financial prudence, of innovation, and of dedication to the people of Jamaica. Mr. Seaga's works and vision, which continue to nourish us now in the areas of finance, the arts, culture and sports, and social programs. We are happy, we are honored, and we want to commend the most honorable Andrew Holness for recognizing you today in this way. As I close, I say, the Edward Seaga Highway, like the man himself, will take you places. Use it wisely for the greater good. As Miss Lou would say, walk good and make good duppy follow you.
Thank you so much, Minister Grange, for sharing in the way that you have. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some more entertainment, and this now comes as a real blast from the past. Our next performer is another favorite of our honored guest, a man with a deep baritone voice to die for. A man who initially wanted to be a radio announcer, but broadcasting's loss was music's gain. This year, he celebrates 50 successful years on the Jamaican music scene. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're not sure if he's a dopey or a gunman. What we are sure of, though, is that he is truly a Jamaican music legend. So please help me welcome Mr. Ernie Smith.
Life is just for living. Life is just for living. See that cat sitting on the mat, thinking about what is what and who is who. That cat is me. That cat is you. See that guy staring in the sky, taking in the beat of the sun. He's having fun. That guy is me. That guy is you. Taking in today's vibrations. Tomorrow's coming down slow. Taking it free and easy. That's the only way to go. Yes, I'd rather be me, rather be free, to be myself, my way, that's how it's gotta be. This is a song the young men sing. Life is just for living. Life is just for living. Feel like a star. If every pretty girl was one girl, what a girl that would be. And if every strong man was one man, what a man that would be. And if I could have this one dream, one single dream come true, I would wish with all my heart I was that strong man, and my pretty girl would have to be you. Yeah. If every single heart was one heart, what a love that would be. And if every single night was one night, what a night that would be. And if I could have this one dream, one single dream come true, I would wish with all my heart just for that one night. And that love would have to be for me and you. Yeah. Have you ever been inside on a rainy night, holding your baby tight? Well, I have. Have you ever had your dreams, long forgotten schemes, coming true? It seems that I have. Have you ever been to bed with music in your head, forgetting your daily bread? Oh, I have. Tell your friend it's true, it's a pretty thing to go through, just between me and you. Yes, I have. Battle, coming down on my rooftop, me and my baby holding tight, doing alright. I hope it never stops. Yeah, battle, coming down on my rooftop, me and my baby holding tight, doing alright. I hope it never stops. Oh man, I left the car out in the rain with all the windows down. Oh, forget it. I tell your friend it's true, it's a pretty thing to go through, just between me and you. Yes, I have. The rain is coming down. Oh yeah, coming down on my rooftop. Me and my baby holding tight, doing alright. I hope it never stops. Another happy home was sailed. One more love is saved. Two more fools who try, but they got too much pride inside their hearts. They don't believe in giving in. Oh, they know they both can't win. One's right, one must be wrong. But forgiving makes the love grow stronger. When the pieces of your love are scattered far and wide, bend down, bend down, bend down, pick them from the ground. Don't forget your foolish pride. Let peace and love abide. Bend down, bend down, bend down, pick them from the ground. When the pieces of your love are scattered far and wide, bend down, bend around, bend down, pick them from the ground. Forget your sorrow now, live for tomorrow now, and never let your children pay for anything you said today. Now, when the pieces of your love are scattered far and wide, bend down, bend down, bend down, pick them from the ground. Just forget your foolish pride. Let peace and love abide. Bend down, bend down, bend down, pick them from the ground. When the pieces of your love are scattered far and wide. Oh yeah. When the pieces of your love are scattered far and wide, bend down, bend down, bend down, pick them from the ground. Don't forget your foolish pride. Let peace and love abide. Bend down, bend down, bend down, pick them from the ground. When the pieces of your love are scattered far and wide, bend down, bend down, bend down, pick them from the ground. Don't forget your foolish pride. Let peace and love abide. Bend down, bend down, bend down, pick them from the ground. Thank you.
Done in such fine style that no one else can do. Jamaican music at its best. Please give it up one more time for the maestro himself, Mr. Ernest Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, a member of the Order of the Nation, and Member of Parliament, will now address us.
Master of Ceremonies, Mrs. Paula Porter, and Mr. Oliver Watt, the Honorable Norma Walters, Custos Rotolorum of St. Anne, representing His Excellency the Governor General, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen. The Most Honorable Juliet Holness, my wife. Our honoree, my mentor, my political father, the Most Honorable Edward Philip George Seaga, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, among many other accolades that we could place on his shoulder today. members of the cabinet, ministers of state, His Excellency, who is enjoying a little bit of the cornmeal porridge, His Excellency Tian Chi, and if you have time, Excellency, we will sit over a cup of cornmeal porridge and we will... Members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Senate and of the House of Representatives, permanent secretaries, Major General Anthony Anderson, the Commissioner of Police, Major General Rocky Meade, Chief of Defense Staff, members, mayors and other members of the municipal corporations, custodies, Bishop the Honorable Dr. Harold Blair, Vice President of the Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches, Mr. Philip Enriquez, Chairman of the National Road Operating and Construction Company, Mr. Lou Quinn, Executive Deputy General Manager, Jamaica North-South Highway, Mr. Hugh Faulkner, Chairman, Toll Authority, heads of government agencies and departments, members of the private sector, other distinguished guests, members of the media, performers, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great morning. Before I start my presentation, I think it is appropriate to recognize the high level, the high quality, the high standard of performances that we have been treated to today. This certainly must dispel any notion that our cultural assets, which represents brand Jamaica, that the creativity of our people is well preserved and is a legacy for generations to come. It is appropriate that I say this because Mr. Seaga started out by studying the culture of the people. So he knows it from the experience, but he knows it as well from a deep study of it. And much of his life has been dedicated to preserving that cultural asset, which is now what defines largely brand Jamaica. Brand Jamaica is the patrimony of all Jamaicans, and every single Jamaican has a right to benefit from it. And I want to assure Jamaicans, particularly the creative community, that your government stands in support of you, and your government will do everything to ensure that you can benefit from the patrimony of your forefathers. This would also be a great way of honoring the work of our former Prime Minister, our former leader, a man who has sacrificed so much and has done so much in preserving and promoting the culture of Jamaica. So that is one keynote. Press. It is with a sense of pride and honor that today we pay tribute to the Most Honorable Edward Philip George Seaga, one of Jamaica's most outstanding visionary, leader, and statesman. He is a naturally creative mind, which even now is fertile with ideas. I should know, I get the calls every day. But Mr. Seaga is not just a thinker. Thinkers are important, conceptualizers are important, but they are one element of the framework of success. He is a doer. But more important than being a doer, he is a leader in doing things. So you could say that Mr. Seaga was consummate. Not perfect. But he strove to be excellent. He has dedicated his life to being a conceptualizer and builder of many of Jamaica's institutions. The architect of many of our major infrastructure. The preserver of our heritage and traditions. The promoter of our culture. And the developer of our economy. It is said that the greatest use of life is to spend it for something that will outlast life. Mr. Seaga will live on through his work because he has spent his life building institutions and infrastructure that define our nation and provide service and value. Indeed, a legacy for generations now and generations to come. Today we name this highway in honor of his contribution, his work, his dedication, his sacrifice, and his life. We memorialize his work, his legacy, in a physical manifestation, and we inscribe his name on it, that it may live on in the minds of those who own the future, that they may be inspired by it and seek to make similar, if not greater, contributions to building our nation. I wish to focus on Mr. Seaga's contribution in establishing the Urban Development Corporation, the downtown development plans, the development of Kingston generally, and of course, the development of the town of Ocho Rios. The highway, which spans several administrations, links the two economic centers, Kingston and Ocho Rios. Kingston in the south, Ocho Rios in the north. It is therefore symbolically appropriate to accord Mr. Seaga this honor of naming the highway which links two significant bodies of his work. However, I have another key message to deliver. Even outside of the symbolic appropriateness, Mr. Seaga's indisputable body of work and service deserves recognition. As we seek to build a nation, there must be space carved out in the competitive political landscape for magnanimity, respect for leaders, value for national sacrifice, and a certain decency and honor in public affairs. Our politics must rise above mean-spiritedness and a selfish sense of entitlement to the nation's assets. With this in a good mind, I wish to assure the nation that we will continue the tradition of our great leaders in building infrastructure and building institutions. We also assure that we will recognize the work, contribution, and sacrifice of those who have dedicated their life to the development of this country, regardless of political and tribal considerations. Today, we are here to pay homage and to leave a legacy for generations to understand the importance of vision, the importance of commitment and selflessness and dedication and love for the nation. Today, we are here to recognize the work and impact of Edward Philip George Seaga. On behalf of a very grateful nation, we extend sincere gratitude to Mr. Seaga for his service, commitment, and love of Jamaica. I now, therefore, take great pleasure to formally declare this highway the Edward Seaga Highway.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, I now direct your attention, or I now ask you to direct your attention to the video screen for an abridged version of the life and achievements of our honored guest, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga.
That first meeting we had a discussion about agriculture, and he had very practical, very novel ideas about how to improve agriculture, and it surrounded technology.
A man ahead of his time.
Edward Philip George Seaga, for me, is an icon.
Putting Jamaica back on track in the 1980s would have been the most pleasing.
I think the landmark development in terms of managing the built environment, the development of the built environment, would be the role he played in the UDC, which then laid the platform and the plans for much of the urban development of Jamaica. Quite a bit of effort was placed in the development of the Kingston waterfront.
At that time, we had a lot of finger piers going off into the ocean, and no one conceived that we could have the Central Business District here. The Bank of Jamaica was relocated, and then very shortly the various buildings and blocks took shape until we had what we have now.
He's a nation builder. All his life, that man has demonstrated that he believes in the building of a nation. That's his passion.
In this triennium period, one of the most significant decisions taken is the recommendation to approve an expenditure of $2 million over the remaining period of this triennium to build up the university presence in the non-campus territories.
From the time we started the Heart Trust,
which spoke to an alternative or parallel, developmental path for our youths. It began to speak to the understanding that education and training in its broadest context were needed for the forward march of this country.
He established most of the cultural institutions in this country. I remember very much the fact that he conceptualized the Edna Manley Center. At that time, it was not called the Edna Manley, but the Cultural Training Center. And he also conceptualized the CPTC, where he felt that it was important to capture the culture of the people and to document those things. And he also felt that it was important to harness all that culture in the performing arts, the fine arts, all the other art forms, and to train the talent that is so rich and that's so diverse among our people.
I had a first-hand experience of Jamaican folk music and the religious music as well, revival and kumina and things like that. And of course, that to me was the heart and soul of the old Jamaican folk culture. So I extended that in the late 50s, about 10 years later, to being a producer of Jamaican music. And I was doing so just at the time when the original Jamaican music was emerging.
After that, we had the success of the Jamaican music abroad with Millie Small. That was pride. Then Carl Crawford went and run this world. So I started with on a high, with the people feeling proud of this little country.
Somebody had to start the process, and he was the one that had the vision to start the process that many people that came after had to build on that foundation.
What Mr. Seaga did was to recognize the way of life of the ordinary Jamaican and what made the ordinary Jamaican feel inspired.
It is not in dispute that Edward Seaga has been the principal engineer and developer of independent Jamaica. His programs and vision for Jamaica are written in the extensive range of projects and institutions which spans the entire field of national development.
The linkages are now set for access to the Hellshire Hills, but the causeway also does something else. It lays the first link in what is to be a new chain of roadways which will enable traffic to be routed from Palisadoes Airport directly across to St. Catherine without coming through Kingston, and vice versa.
It was always his dream for connectivity to connect Kingston, Ocho Rios, Montego Bay.
So it is quite fitting that two of the areas in which he had spent quite a bit of effort and time in developing are now linked with the North-South Highway.
Directly across to St. Catherine without coming through Kingston.
In that first meeting, we had a discussion about agriculture. And he had so it is quite fitting that two of the areas in which he had spent quite a bit of effort and time in developing are now linked with the North-South Highway.
Ladies and gentlemen, tight and condensed, but an insightful and informative presentation produced by the Jamaica Information Service. So special thanks to the entire team at the JIS for giving us a brief peek at a patriot, politician, and protagonist in the building of culture and national institutions. But what about hearing from the man himself? I agree. We now invite the Most Honorable Edward Philip George Seaga to give a response.
Please be seated. Today is indeed an extraordinary moment in my life. And I thank the Most Honorable and Your Holiness Prime Minister for understanding that point and accepting that it should be worthy of this honor. I therefore wish to commend him and his wife, the Most Honorable Juliet Holness. Just as I wish to commend another wife, my own wife, my daughter and my son. Will they stand? Separate from those commendations, the government of China is to be rated as having played the most significant role in the development of this project. They took it on when others failed, and they succeeded. I think as we drive this highway and see walls of stone, we must recognize what they are. It is a cut through a hill, through a mountain. And nobody in their sensible mind would want to cut through so many mountains except the genius from the government of China. So I do thank them for making it a beautiful, flat highway that people enjoy traveling on. And a speedy one. I've covered without speeding the distance from Falmouth to Kingston in 3/4 of an hour on one New Year's Day. So they're practically joined. Just a little 60-mile separation. But that 60 miles now has been made 3/4 of an hour or even less. And it's only natural that it should be so, because it means that we can traverse that distance in little time, and therefore living at the end of each point make it an easy run to visit the other. I know someone who lives in Runaway Bay, and she goes to work in Kingston. And I'm sure there are others who live in Kingston and come to work in Ocho Rios. But the telling point in all of this is that the Prime Minister recognized not just the linkage, but the importance that we cannot build cities and towns that are separated from each other without having at least a link to which to join them. And that link is Kingston and Ocho Rios. And I mention that because there have been two of the projects that I have created, and indeed perhaps the two greatest. And when it came to the fact that they were so easily joined, I said, well, that highway should be named after me. And I wasn't embarrassed in telling the Prime Minister so. And in his wisdom, he realized it and accepted it. You see, Kingston was created on a waterfront of finger piers sticking out into the sea. And that prevented the unloading of ships, because the unloading then was being done by a crane that ran on the shore and unloaded each ship. So we had to remove those. And the owners came to me and said, we want some land over in Newport West, which is now being created, and we want to be resited there. I accepted that proposal, took it to Cabinet, which approved it, and it happened. This one, Ocho Rios, came about by coming to a political meeting in February 1967, at the end of which month was a general election. And thinking of what to say at the meeting, it wasn't until I reached Fern Gully that I said, I can talk about the harbor in Ocho Rios and making it into a rail harbor with all the benefits that can come to the area. And that's what I did. I said, in 1 year, we are going to create a beach where there's no beach, 80 acres in size, and from then on, we'll be creating hotels and apartments and other things. And it started in 1 year. And we owned it all. And we parceled it out to investors so that they could build what you see today as Ocho Rios, which was never there before. After Ocho Rios, using the UDC, which I established to take care of these institutions and projects that were being built, we went to Montego Bay, but there was little that could be done at that point because of the nature of the town and the jumble. But we went on to Negril. And I'm a man that don't like holidays. I think they're a waste of time. But my wife convinced me on that Labor Day to come to Negril and to have a rest. But I did that for half a morning. And then I jumped in my car and I started to roam. And as I roamed what is now the Negril Highway, named after Norman Manley, there was this area that had a lot of mangroves that I couldn't see the sea. So I said to a little man who I picked up on the way, "Brother, what is behind that?" He said, "Come, boss, you don't say nothing yet." He took me through the mangroves, and when I got to the end of that, what a beautiful beach I beholded. I've never seen anything like that anywhere in my life. I was so enthralled by it that I begged his pardon, and I said, I'd taken off all my clothes because I want to swim in there. And I did that. But I didn't really think of when I came out, I'm going to dry myself. So I had to use a chamois from the car, rub me down. But I said to this little man, who owns this land? He said, Mr. MacLeod. I said, where he lives? See, right up on that hill. I said, okay, you think him is there? Yeah, man, he's not leave there at all. So that evening, I went up to the hill in a little house and saw Mr. Ivan MacLeod, who owned the entire property of Negril, Green Bay, and the town of Negril. 6,000 acres. I was a youngster, 37, but I said to him, Mr. MacLeod, you'd like to sell this land? He said, yes, my son. I said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to send a valuator from government to check it out and come back with a price. And after that, we can deal with it. He said, any price you come back with is all right with me. I didn't go to cabinet because they were thinking I was getting a little too far ahead. So I went back after the evaluator had brought in the value, and it was a very reasonable value for 6,000 acres. Then I went to cabinet and said, any who live near, go and look at it. And the people who came back said, you are right. It is one of the most beautiful areas in Jamaica. So we bought Negril. We went on down the stream. We bought Auchendown. We bought Mount Edgecombe, which is a big pimento property. And I went around in that direction until we came back to Kingston. And when we came back to Kingston, something occurred to me that this Hellshire Hill, if we don't do something about it, somebody else is going to do it. And the government doesn't want anybody to do anything. So I bought Hellshire Hill for £20,000, the whole hill. Salt Pond, which was next to it, was my shooting ground in the days when I used to shoot. So I knew every corner of it. And I bought that for £15,000. Caymanas, which was next to all of those, I bought that for something like £20,000. And so I went on a buying spree right around the country. I bought Negril, I bought Seville, which is the last stop of Columbus's journey around Jamaica on his 5th voyage. Having done all that, I declared it to be a land bank. And to tell you the truth, although my Prime Minister is here, I never tell Cabinet about it. Because if I did, somebody would say, I want 5 acres, another one want 10 acres, and somebody said, I want 2. And my pledge to it was, nobody getting nothing of that. Until you come with a development plan, you never get nothing. So it was kept in secret until the time when the developments arose. And they arose in the beginning of 1980 when I asked UNESCO to create a plan for the development of our 3 most historic areas, Port Royal, Spanish Town, and Seville. And they created a plan with 25 advisors. I've never heard of that before. 25. And they brought it to me in a huge box. And when I looked at it, I was flabbergasted. Every detail was included. We have now started on Port Royal, but the next one has to be Spanish Town. And that one, I want something very, very important for it. I want that to be an Afro-Jamaican institute and museum. That is where emancipation came about, on the steps of the Spanish Town Square. I want to develop Seville, because being the last stop of Columbus, he had to leave his ship. It was sinking. And we are still trying to find it, but I rather doubt that it it's gone too far down. At any rate, we will do something to show the kind of ship that it was. And so the journey of the UDC began and continues. The only blot in that journey was when it was used to build up Jamaica, which was work for small contractors, not the UDC. But we got it back on track again. And now it is building once more and more projects to enhance its own ability to do so and to enhance Jamaica. Culture has been my most endearing endeavor. It's not my only endeavor, but it is my most endearing. And in doing cultural activities, I do them with my heart. I wanted Jamaican music to be brought to the front on the stage for Jamaicans to hear. So I sent Olive Lewin out and I said, find every Jamaican tune and bring them here. And she brought them. And I established the Jamaica Festival in which they were going to play a part, and we started the journey of popularizing Jamaican music. At that time I didn't know that other Jamaicans were doing something close to that. They were bringing out popular Jamaican music. And that popular music became popular indeed, very popular. When you think of Bob Marley, when you think of Jimmy Cliff, when you think of Ernest Smith, when you think of Dennis Brown, when you think of Desmond Dekker, and all of those and many more artists. I brought this with me because tears come to my eyes. It is a waste for us not to make that one of the stellar contributions of Jamaicans to world culture, not Jamaican culture. So I honor Ernest Smith this evening, who gave us just some of his remarkable compositions. I honor the Tivoli Gardens dance troupe because they are the most successful dance troupe in Jamaica, having won far more gold medals than anybody else. And I think it's time for me to sit down, take a rest, but I can't do it. I don't know how to do that. And there's a little song that says, you lick him down, you pick him up. Hard man for dead. You lick him down, you pick him up. Hard man for dead. Well, it's true, I'm 88. That must be a hard man today. But no matter whether it's 88 or 98, I'm still going to be doing my best for the country. I won't tell you that I'll be active all that time. I owe a long vacation to my family, and I have to take that. But my mind will always be on Jamaica and Jamaican things. And so, in the same way that the man who owned a zoo couldn't find a gorilla, and he went out on the street to find a man who had the dimensions of a gorilla. And he brought him back to the zoo and put a gorilla suit on him, with a mask and everything. And he taught him, yo, 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 yo. And the gorilla learned it very quick. So he put him in a cage next to the lion. And the gorilla was very offended and went up to the net between them and said, yo, 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 yo. And the lion went over to him and said, shut your mouth, you want me to lose a little work?
So it is time for me to shut my mouth. And with God's blessings to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Seaga. And before he sits, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually now going to have the symbolic unveiling of the sign, which will adorn the highway in short order. We ask you, the other members of the audience, please to be seated, and we invite the following persons to join us for the unveiling. We ask that media do not pass the steps. We ask that the media stop at the steps and go no closer. Thank you. The Prime Minister and the Most Honorable Mrs. Holness, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga and the Most Honorable Mrs. Seaga, Honorable Desmond Mackenzie, Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Honorable Olivia Grange, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. We ask the media to stay there, and we ask other persons to clear the area. Once the party is in place, there will be a flourish of the trumpets of the Jamaica Military Band fanfare team, giving the cue for the Most Honorable Mrs. Holness, Honorable Mrs. Seaga, to cut the ribbon and unveil the sign. And for the official photograph, we ask the following persons to join the party. Honorable Norma Walters, Custos Rotolorium. Could you join the party, please? His Excellency Tien Chi, Mr. Philip Henriquez, Mr. Lu Chin. Could you join the party for the official photograph, please? And we ask the media to allow them to pass. Thank you.
God forever to serve with humble pride, this shining homeland ever, so long as earth abide. I pledge my heart this island as God officially, my word, my strength, my love, and my loyalty to give. Oh, green as often Indies, Jamaica strong and free. Our vows, our loyal promises, all lend this to thee.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony for the renaming of the North-South Highway, which has now become the Edward Seaga Highway. We ask you to remain in place until the members of the official party take their leave, and we also have special instructions.
So one final instruction. Please be guided that only members of the official party can be accommodated in the VIP lounge. There will be a VIP area, but all of us will be refreshed. Once again, thank you for honoring us with their presence as we celebrate the 5th Prime Minister of Jamaica by renaming this North-South Highway the Edward Seaga Highway. Thank you, and have a good day.
Shall we just dash it for you?